This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
So thank you, Chair. I begin from where the first opposition left. They are saying truck drivers should be blamed, but Pano, the question is, truck drivers are entering the borders of Uganda through where we are having bodies that are supposed to enforce the law on the borders of the country. So if those agencies have failed to enforce the law and take away the Khat and do proper checking of these truck drivers as they are entering the country through the borders, and these agencies have failed and yet they are government agencies, then I think the blame should not be taken onto the truck drivers. The blame should be taken on government agencies which have failed to do proper checking and proper taking up of people entering with Khat in the country. So I think the government is solely responsible for guarding the Ugandan borders, and it is the government agencies that are always on the Ugandan borders as people are transporting goods from other country to another country. So if a good enters a country from one country to another, I don't think it should be an individual who should be blamed. It should be the government through its agencies for failing to do that. And I think that is the reason we say that truck drivers should not be blamed at the end of the day. Rather, it should be the government. Then engaging on another argument which they present, which is mindset. Yes, Chair, we do consider the fact that you cannot change mindset of a person. But the question is, you are a government which has went into the parliament through one of its arms as the legislature, signed the anti-tobacco law, which has been providing employment opportunities to most of the youth in West Nile, that is North-Western region. You have signed that law, you as the government, to stop the tobacco production in West Nile. So it means these people are going to lose jobs at the end of the day. So, Chair, you will not come here and tell me that it is a mindset of a person to go and take that cut. If it is you, the government, who has taken away the job he has been having, and he has nothing else to do and is unemployed, but he has to go and take cut for survival, and that is the thing that we're having. Yes, mindset would be there, but it is majorly and solely responsible by the government for failing to achieve that. I think that is what we primarily get from the side opposition. Yeah, I take your POI.
So does Khat employ you? Because you are like, someone has to take Khat for survival. Does it employ you?
No, obviously Khat does not employ, but why a person is pushed to take Khat is because the government has taken away his job and he has nothing but stress of losing a job, and at the end of the day we shall have the high levels of Khat consumption in the country. Then engaging on the side government's case which we present, one, we want to give you the two grounds where we think that the government should be so responsible. One, it is the ground of the principle of reparative duty, and two is the ground of social contract theory. Employing the first one, that is the ground of the social contract theory. We think that the government is solely responsible to do what is in the best interest of the citizens. Yes, we do concede to the fact that the government has failed to that extent. Yes, it has failed, but through the social contract theory, where the majority have voted the government into power to do what is in the better interest of the citizens, and what is in the better interest of the citizens is to go for these West Nile people, not go in parliament and present a law which is taking away their jobs and forcing them to go for Khat. I think that at the end of the day, the social contract theory is violated and the government should be solely responsible for that. Then engaging with the second issue, which is the principle of reparative duty. The principle of reparative duty shows that, one, the government is supposed to do what is in the better interest of the people and should do what is beneficial to the people, not for the danger of the people. But if then the government has turned into doing what is the danger of the people, then I think at the end of the day, the blame should not be put on the people, but rather the government. Those are the two grounds we present in today's debate. And then another thing, we want to present you as my status quo was given, that yes, the people in Arua, like a case scenario they gave you, that the people in Arua, the Council of Arua has put into a place a law to fight the taking of marijuana, the so-called Khat. But at the end of the day, because the government has had poor implementation of its narcotics and psychiatric drugs law, it has failed to implement it. The people who are on ground are seeing that the danger is there, but the government which is there has failed to see the dangers. And at the end of the day, who should be blamed? The people living in the original society are seeing that, one, the dangers are there, the Khat consumption is very high, and at the end of the day, these people have carried out the law, but you, the government, which is the central government, you're failed in the implementation. It's when you're just bringing the narcotics and psychiatric bill in 2023. We think that at the end of the day, the blame still goes to the government, not to the blame still goes to the government, not to the people. Then another thing, people saying that it is a source of income. Why are the people? My third and fourth speaker will come to expound more on our speech.
No. So in this debate, it really beats logic when the affirmers come in and fail to realize that the government has done its role. However much other sectors in Uganda and other people in Uganda have failed to play their role as far as stopping the consumption of Khat is concerned, that doesn't mean that we should blame the government in this case, because we really feel that for the fact that the government has been able to implement rules and even follow them, and even it has been able to imprison some of the people it has caught, doesn't mean that you should blame it because we feel it has done its job. Instead, things like poverty, in which people are really pressurized to find money, are the things that have led to the high rate of Khat consumption. Things like truck driving activities which need people to spend long hours without sleeping, things like personal choices and ignorance are the things that have led to the high rate of cat consumption in North-Western Uganda. Now the farmers come in and tell us that truck drivers work on the borders of the country, and therefore they are the people that bring in the drugs. But one thing I would like to inform the farmers is that you have got the information so wrong. Truck drivers also work within the country. Actually, most of the truck drivers come from the country, taking the cargo outside the country. And they are these same people who move with that cargo that involves cat consumption, that involves the carrying of cat. And therefore, in this case, we believe that if the truck drivers could control and try to stop using the cat, therefore the rates in which cat consumption is taken in North-Western Uganda would have reduced. They've also told us about the unemployment of people, and they blame all this on the government. But one thing they failed to realize is that the government has done its best role that it can do. It has introduced PDM, that is published development model. It has brought up NADS and all those sorts of projects that has helped the people, that has helped the people to develop themselves. But then the people come in and fail to develop themselves and continue carrying out cat consumption so as to get the money from those luxurious people, and they fail to realize the disadvantages of cat. Therefore, in this debate, we as the negators really feel that things like poverty is one of the key things that have led to the cat consumption in North-Western Uganda. Now, according to the Daily Monitor of Friday, May 2022, it sheds a light on drug dealing in Uganda. Andrew Bagala says that many desperate Ugandans, mainly female, are lured into drug dealing for a tiny commission. These lords that give them the jobs offer a small commission that gives these people who are poor, who have failed to develop themselves even after the government has given them the development projects. They therefore go ahead to do cat consumption so that they can be paid. And therefore, in this case, this blame should be on the people. This blame should be on the people who have failed to develop themselves even after the government has given them money, and they go ahead to carry out cat consumption. Now, we know the farmers might come in and tell us that the government is to blame for the poverty. But we would like to again re-emphasize and tell you that the government has brought up many policies that should, and therefore in this case it should not be blamed for the poverty, but the people should be blamed for the poverty which has again led them to carrying out cat consumption. In this case, we come to discover that the people are also ignorant about cat consumption, and therefore they take cat to be medicine. However much, the NDA, that is the National Drugs Authority, always tells us that too much consumption of drugs is still too poisonous. And you can imagine, for example, in certain cases, 0.6 grams of cat leaves. They take 0.6 grams of cat leaves according to the kilograms the person has in the body. For example, if a person has 25 kilograms, you get 0.6 grams of cat leaves times that amount of drugs. This means that the consumption will be very high to the extent that the drugs shall leave a poisonous item in the person's body. Therefore, us as the negators really feel that in this case, the government should not be blamed, but very many other factors have led to high cat consumption in North-Western Uganda. I beg to rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.